Welcome everybody to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube today. Hello friends, your ridiculously over good brother Anthony Fleury here, joined by Girl MF Michael Fletcher, the Phenom Michael Bullock, the Twisted Angel Didi Woodson. Let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right on in. The penultimate edition of Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania 34 from the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio, exclusively on the USA Network. And we started it off with your reigning, defending, undisputed Universal Champion Brock Lesnar and his advocate Paul Heyman. They rip on Roman Reigns. Heyman said Roman's suspension was temporary suspension was lifted, and Roman showed up. He got some offense in on Lesnar, but ultimately Brock Lesnar, another week, another savage, vicious beatdown by the Beast. Well, I'll tell you, they doubled down on the sympathy play for Roman this week, and it seemed less effective with this crowd. There wasn't all out hate for him. It's just a case of same story, different week as far as the fan reaction goes. The Lesnar beatings are vicious. But I cannot help but wonder how effective these same segments would have been if they involved a babyface that the fans actually loved and actually liked. Like, say, a Finn Balor or a Seth Rollins or a Braun Strowman, or if he was on Raw, Daniel Bryan, for goodness sakes. You know the fans don't like Roman. They see the writing on the wall. They know the coronation's coming in a couple weeks. So, what reason do they have? So, that's all there is to say on it. I mean, I thought the segment last week was a little better, but this was still a solid segment, though. I will say it like that. It was still a solid segment. But to me, I can honestly say this was not the segment of the night, if I'm going to be real honest with you. So, same story, different week. That's all there is to say on that. So, I'm going to bring in good old MF Michael Fletcher here. I want to get his thoughts on this. So, MF, same story, different week. Let's and folks, I want to try to get this show in as quickly as we can. But then again, we don't have much to talk about tonight because this was, in my honest opinion, a cheap garbage show here tonight. And I'm not in a good mood.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You are absolutely right. For once, it looks like Monday Night Raw actually goes back to the old way Raw went. Not so good, and yeah, this was one of those where it almost felt like we kind of know this was gonna happen. Look, I understand why they're trying to do it. I understand why they're trying to make Roman feel sympathetic. And I get it. Some people will fall for it. Some people will. But the majority of people do not like Roman Reigns. It's better to turn him a heel. It's better to cut him loose. You know, I understand this is the guy and he's going to be the one that's going to be driving WWE for the next few years. I get it. This is Vince and unfortunately, you already know what happens when you become Vince's guy. Hogan, Bret the Hitman Hart during those days until the infamous screw job in Montreal, Shawn Michaels, Austin. There was a lot of guys that a lot of people loved, but you only get to a certain degree where some people are going to get sick and tired of seeing a guy year in and year out. John Cena, perfect example of the love hate. Now Roman Reigns, the love hate. And that's the one thing. And Anthony, you're right. If this would have been Brock Lesnar doing this to a guy like maybe Daniel Bryan, the internet would have been in an uproar. The whole WWE universe would have been in an uproar. The IWC would be in an uproar, begging for Lesnar's head on a platter. And that's the thing. If you want a guy that's gonna cause this chaos, cause us to yell and scream and say, Lesnar, you've gone too far. I want your head on a silver platter. I'm gonna say this: if this was like the Undertaker, people would be flipping out. But it's Roman Reigns. It doesn't hold that much weight to it because of the fact that not a lot of people really care about him. Good attempt. I get what they're trying to do. It's just not working. Sorry. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good segment, but last week's segment I thought was better. But yeah, I mean, I understand why WWE was trying to do this to try to get some sympathy for Roman Reigns. But I got news for you guys. For you yes men over at WWE headquarters, it ain't working because Roman Reigns is the most hateable guy in the IWC. And like Fletcher just said, if this was The Undertaker, I'd be in a major uproar. If this was Daniel Bryan, we all be in an uproar. But this is Roman Reigns. The IWC was enjoying this. So, yeah. So, I mean, I agree with everything Fletch and Florio just pretty much said. So, there's really nothing more for me to say. Dee Woodson, it's yours.
Yeah, this wasn't the best segment in the world. And trying to make
this
Roman look
opportunity to close.
like the pathetic person that they're wanting him to be after everything that Lesnar's done of not showing for who knows how long, and then finally showing up, beating the crap out of him for 2 weeks in a row now. Not working WWE.
Top guy to top guy.
Try something else. That's it. Not saying anything else. Take it for you.
Yeah, to put it to bed, it was an overall good opening segment. I mean, Heyman's promo. I mean, I should have mentioned that. That was the best part of it, and the beatdown by Brock. I mean, that's really all there is to say on that. I mean, I thought last week was just a smidgen better, so nothing more to say here. Let's just move on. Our first match of the night, Nia Jax squaring off against Mickie James. Nia Jax wins the match in about 7 minutes and 2 seconds via the Samoan drop there. So MF, Nia Jax goes through your old favorite Mickie James in a little over 7 minutes. So any thoughts on this?
Not that much. I mean, Nia needs to get the momentum heading into WrestleMania. Solid performance by her. Mickie James tried to make her look as good as she could under the circumstances, but I'm not really too high or, anything about the match. I mean, it is what it is. It was there. It was decent enough. They're just trying to give Nia that power, that emphasis of that she is indeed the irresistible force, and she is. She's one of the strongest women we've ever had in WWE, one of the most powerful women in WWE, just like Chyna, just like Beth Phoenix. They're trying to make her as monstrous as she can be. They want to put that fear of God in her to show Alexa Bliss, you barked up the wrong tree. You really messed up big time by bashing your former best friend, and that now hell is going to be paid in debt at WrestleMania. So I get what they're doing. This is basically 101 script. You want to make your challenger really tough, and you got to give her all the momentum she needs going to WrestleMania. I could give this maybe 1.5 stars, but nothing more than that. Yeah. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'll give it 1 to 1.5 stars. I mean, not really impressive when it comes to it, but you just want to give Nia Jax that momentum going into that Raw Women's title match at WrestleMania, so nothing really more to say. I'm just gonna toss it to Dee Dee Woodson.
Yeah, 1.5 stars. But we already know Alexa's history. She used Mickie James the first time around. She used Nia Jax. What's to say she's not using Mickie James again? Alexa is one of these people, she can't do anything without having someone in her corner that'll either help her make a win or cause something that will cause a big enough conflict, like at the ladies' chamber where Bayley and Banks exploded, to cause her to come in and swoop in and get the win. These are the reasons why I don't like Alexa Bliss. She can't do anything without having someone in her corner that she thinks will help her in the long run. And she just proved herself 2 weeks ago. She is a bully. She could care less about anybody's feelings, and now here she is. She's leached herself onto Mickie James, who is a legend in her own right, who doesn't need someone like Alexa Bliss to help her win matches. I hope that in the long run, somebody opens their eyes and gets all these women away from this little leech that just has to leech onto somebody just so she can make herself look better. 1 to 1.5 stars. Not much more to say about it. Florio, it's yours.
1 star. Okay match. It was just an okay match. They continued to build to Jackson Bliss at WrestleMania. So we're just going to leave it at that. Then they had this sit-down interview with the Authority. And I got to tell you, it was great. The Authority were the Authority. They were complete, a-holes and D-bags here, just like they need to be going into that huge match at WrestleMania with Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey. And we'll have more on that in a little bit. Then we move on to the return of the Cruiserweights. First time in a while we've had the Cruiserweights on Monday Night Raw. Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali against TJP and Drew Gulak. Alexander and Ali win the match in 4 minutes. With the it was Ali with the 054 with the win. And you want to know how meh this show was tonight, folks? You have problems when a 4-minute match ends up being the fight of the night, in my honest opinion. That's how meh this show was tonight. 2.5 stars. It was perfectly solid considering the time that they got. And I'm going to have more on this in my Tony's Take when we get to my 205 Live review. Cedric Alexander is in the finals for the Cruiserweight Championship at WrestleMania. Well, I'll let you know who his opponent is. I don't want to give too much away here. We'll get more into this during our 205 Live review. Okay. Miz TV segment with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. And oh man, this was all over the place. I mean, Miz went after his own guys. He went after the Miz Taraj, and then Rollins and Balor come out, and Bo Dallas called him a phony A-lister that can't fight. And then Miz says he's about to become the greatest Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion of all time, better than Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and Mr. Perfect. And that's that Curtis Axel because Mr. Perfect is his father. And that story. And just as we thought it was going to be a 4-on-1 against the Miz, well, it was a setup. Miz Taraj attacks Rollins and Balor. Good brothers make the save. And then Balor and Rollins get the best of Miz, but then Balor lays out Rollins and stands tall with the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. Whoa. Okay. Michael Bullock, let's start it with you here. Don't go into any detail. I just did. I just want your overall thoughts on the segment. That's all.
I thought it was a good segment for what it was. Yeah, Flory, you pretty much basically touched on everything when it came to the segment and how it went down. So there's really nothing more to add. So I'm just gonna give it to Dee Woodson.
The only thing I'm going to add to that is Bo Dallas said the one thing I think most people think about The Miz, and that is that he is a phony A-lister that can't fight without having help. I know it ended up being a ruse in the end. It was still a pretty good promo compared to what some of the rest of these we've had tonight have been, so not much more I had to say about it. Take it, guys.
Well, it's back to me here. This to me was the segment of the night, if I'm going to be real honest with you. This was a very good segment overall to add heat to the triple threat without giving away another match with a combination of these three guys. This was really enjoyable, if I'm going to be quite honest. I mean, this is why The Miz is unbelievable. I mean, they made Rollins and Balor look foolish for interrupting at times when it looked like Miz, Dallas, and Axel were going to self-destruct. I mean, if you can get past that, that segment was actually very entertaining. My guess is, it's very tough. My gut's telling me Miz is going to go over for some odd reason. But there is the chance that he does that. He'll lose the title at WrestleMania. And quite honestly, I want to see Finn Balor and Seth Rollins in an Intercontinental feud after WrestleMania. And if we get that, that will make the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship mean something. I know Miz has, done some great things. He's done some wonders with that thing. Yes, he has. But can you imagine what a Finn Balor Seth Rollins program would be like for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship after WrestleMania? Whichever one of them wins it, have the other guy chase him for about a month or so. Sign me up, please. We'll see. And we'll have another superstar shakeup, and who knows? Maybe they send The Miz back to SmackDown Live, and now that a certain general manager and yes man has been medically cleared, maybe we get that long-awaited Miz and Bryan feud after Mania. Only time will tell. But for me, this was the segment of the night. So MF, there's something for you to think about. Maybe Miz ends up going back to SmackDown Live and being your crown jewel again?
No, because the problem is that if Daniel Bryan is now an active roster member, that could also pose him to go to Monday Night Raw. So, it's a double-edged sword. We could get Bryan to Raw, and at that point, then SmackDown, you're floundering. But I heard some rumors that we might get an Architect, we might get Balor. So, that would be a good trade-off. We'll give you Daniel Bryan. You just give us Finn Balor and Seth Rollins in a package deal, 2 for 1. I'll take that any day of the week for Team Blue. I'll just say this. This is going to be very interesting to watch. This is going to be very interesting to see. I am a little annoyed with everything that went down on this one. I like the interaction with everybody. I love that finally the Miztourage put the Miz in their place, rightfully so. Yeah, I know it was a ruse, but whatever. It was good to see them have a backbone, have a spine, because I think they're nothing but spineless jellyfish in my eyes, but story for another day. And I thought it was good. I thought it was solid. I liked what I saw, and I loved the pacing and the layout of the story. So everything was fine. Yes, it was a segment of the night. Move on.
Move on to an Asuka squash match. Asuka squashing a young lady named Jamie Frost in 33 seconds. No rating to a dud. No comment. Then we had a a vignette with the Woken One, Matt Hardy, and he announces that he is going to enter the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania. No big surprise there. And then they talk about the issues with Sasha Banks and Bayley, and it finally escalated to the point where they had a backstage brawl. And you know our girl Luigi PS3 on YouTube, you know she had to have been freaking out during that segment. Because you know how much that baby girl loves the backstage brawls. Let me tell you, especially in the 2K18 video game and all that. So I'm so glad that they have taken the time to do this build only to put them in the Battle Royal. So that's definitely going to make things a lot interesting going into that women's Battle Royal. So that's all we can say on that. Then we had Braun Strowman squaring off against Sheamus. Braun Strowman wins the match, 7 minutes and 50 seconds. I don't know if I should. If you guys want to get into it, we can. If you don't, we can move on. It's fine. I'll take it for a spin like I always do. So what do you guys say? Do you want to get into it or not? I mean, it's fine. Either way, it's okay. I'm guessing you don't. So that's cool. So I'll take it for a spin. Give it a solid 2 stars. I mean, it was an okay fight, and it was in a way to continue the build of the tag title match and continue the tease of Braun Strowman's partner. So that's all I can say on that. And then we had Ronda Rousey. Kurt Angle came out, and Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey, they basically cut a promo here. And I'm going to be honest with you. Normally, I would consider this a relevant segment, but I'm sorry, I can't do that. Another sign that this was a meh show here tonight. This was the worst segment of the night, if I'm going to be real honest with you. And I love and respect my panel so much, I'm not even going to waste their time. I'm not even going to have them dignify this with a response. So hang out, my friends. Just hang in there. I'm gonna be ridiculously raw and tell it like it is right now. That was a rough segment. None of the promo work was any good. And Ronda Rousey looked really awkward. She really did. But thankfully, she's in there with Stephanie at Mania, who's actually who we all know how good she is on the mic. We all know that. She's a seasoned performer, folks. So, I mean, honest to goodness, this was absolutely brutal. And, I mean, yeah, the fans were happy to see her. I get it, but I don't know. But that's all I can say on that. It was a forgettable segment. Hey, but don't get me wrong. I'm pulling for Ronda Rousey when it comes to her WWE career. I really am. But that was forgettable. Absolutely forgettable. And I am hopeful next week on the Go Home show in Atlanta, they'll heat things up again. They really need it. Believe me, they do. Then we had the Good Brothers against Miz Taraj. Good Brothers win it 4 minutes and 55 seconds. Yet another cutout here, 2 stars. It was another okay match with fine execution, but there was no sense of urgency. And the crowd, just like the 4 of us, really didn't give 2 craps about it. So, oh wait, it gets better. Elias against Rhino. Elias wins 2 minutes and 25 seconds. No rating to a dud. Elias won and won quickly. Move on. And then we move on. And it was announced that next week, Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey and The Authority will have a face-off next week. Okay. Turn up the heat on that, please. That's all I can say. Turn up the heat. It needs it. No disqualification match. John Cena squaring off against Kane. John Cena wins the match, 14 minutes and 5 seconds. AA through a table. After the match, he calls out The Undertaker, and The Undertaker is not there. Didi Whitson, your thoughts on this?
As we all saw, Cena did through this match just about everything Undertaker would do, even at the end, walking up the ramp, tried to roll his eyes back, did the slit throat, which of course that was not as good as what Taker does, but it is what it is. I'm going to give the match probably about 2 to 2.25 stars. It was an okay main event. Segment at the end, good. It was okay way of closing the show, but still, not doing the same. He's still pushing these buttons, trying to get Undertaker out there. Unless, we get the response next week. I don't know if we're actually going to have this match or not, but it is what it is. So I'll toss it back to you.
Another theme of the night, 2-star match. Slow, lethargic, and bland. They used all the smoke and mirrors to hide Kane's weaknesses, but it really didn't help make it worth the time invested. I did, however, like Cena doing, mocking The Undertaker's mannerisms, though. Classic case of post-match was better than the match itself. I mean, that was one crappy third hour, considering where we are on the road to WrestleMania. Penultimate show here. Now, they definitely set the stage for next week, with Cena making it clear that Taker only has one more week. That's a very nice hook. And Dee Dee Woodson, I feel bad for your fellow Ohioans there, who had to sit through some lousy, garbage segments in that third hour, and had to be thinking that this was the night The Undertaker was going to return. But the storytelling approach with Cena and Taker is certainly interesting and unexpected, even if Cena comes off a little dorky at times. But classic case of the post-match being better. And I'll tell you what, before I give it to MF, Bullock and I, during our Raw chat tonight, when we saw that this was the main event, we thought maybe, just maybe, there was a puncher's chance we were going to get Taker. But then I read a dirt sheet recently, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this to you, Bullock, but the dirt sheet that I read recently was they were going to save, the big moment for the go-home show next week. We got 1 week left. You better give us that moment next week. Come on, ATL. Give it to us next week. 2 stars.
And give it to me.
Yes, and give it to Bullock. Yes, absolutely.
Because if it doesn't happen, watch out. I'm going on a tirade.
Here's the thing, and I'll take over, Florio.
Okay, man.
You're not gonna. They could play this a couple of ways. One, you can have it happen next week in Atlanta. That's fine. Or you can wait and let it happen at WrestleMania during the event. Have Cena come out, have Cena rip, have him mock Taker, whatever. But you ain't going to get The Undertaker, the dead man, the Phenom. No. You're going to get an Undertaker coming out in a motorcycle. Red Devil. Big Evil. You're getting the American Badass version of The Undertaker. That's the Taker that I think we're going to see at Mania. You don't need to bring Taker out as a dead man. Because, in other words, if you think about it, he buried that legacy at last year's WrestleMania. When he took off the jacket, when he took off the gloves, and when he took off his hat and left it in the center of the ring at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. That signified one thing, guys. That's not the end of Taker's career. that was the end of the dead man as we know it. That's what this symbolized. I didn't think about it. We didn't think about it because we still were all in a state of shock, in a state of flux, thinking, oh my God, has Taker retired? That's far from it. What Cena's asking for, he's asking for the wrong Taker. He thinks he's going to get the Phenom, the Lord of Darkness. You know, he thinks he's going to get that Taker. He's not. He's going to get a Taker that is more vicious, more dangerous, and more deadlier. Because let's be realistic, guys. As much as we might have liked the Lord of Darkness one, do you guys know what that Taker did? The Red Devil Big Evil version of him did? Ric Flair? Hulk Hogan? I think we already know what type of damage he does. Jeff Hardy on a ladder match, for heaven's sakes. John Cena, you're looking for something you're not ready for. And let me tell you, you're not going to get tombstoned. You're going to get the last ride at WrestleMania if you don't watch yourself. I got nothing more to say. You can bark up the tree all you want. You can do all the imitations and everything else. You're thinking you're getting the dead man. You're sorely mistaken. Hell has no fury when the gong goes off of The Undertaker. But this isn't going to be any typical gong. What you're doing, Cena? 3 little words. Dead man walking. Bullock, this is your guy. This is your favorite. Cena's walking into a death trap.
And a death trap that he may not be able to get out of if he gets that American badass that we are all expecting. But Cena, all I can say is keep your words soft and sweet, because you might have to eat them. Because you may get an Undertaker that's more dangerous and more evil than what you could have expected. The match, I'll give it 2 stars, but the promo I thought was better. So nothing more to say. Dee Woodson. Actually, Floria, let's move on to our overall thoughts, and it's going to be a pretty bad rating.
So bad that, and I'm the Raw guy here. Don't worry about this one, guys. I'm taking this for the spin here. Don't worry, we'll get to you guys in a minute. But I started off because that's how the rotation goes right here. So, oh my goodness gracious! You know, we always say no joy in Mudville. Well, there certainly was no joy in Mudville here tonight, because Monday Night Raw just gave SmackDown Live a golden opportunity to beat the snot out of us. And I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the snot out of us tenfold tomorrow night, wherever they go. I don't know where SmackDown Live is tomorrow. I'm sure MF will give us that info in a minute, but I'm going to go as far as to say this was the worst Monday Night Raw 2018 so far. That's how bad this show is. I always preach about, at my church, I always preach about for such a time as this. And for such a time as this, the penultimate show before WrestleMania, and you give us this? You phone it in? You throw the towel in, literally, on this night? The last few weeks were solid and newsworthy. Really solid shows, focusing on WrestleMania. And they cut down on that filler. Tonight, nothing special. There was some okay Mania build. I'll give you that. It was solid Mania build, tonight. But the third hour really fell off the cliff and really killed my enjoyment of the show. You had a couple of okay segments, and when your fight of the night is a 4-minute cruiserweight tag team match, you got problems. Big problems. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the time to be putting in meh efforts. This is the road to WrestleMania. This is the penultimate week before WrestleMania. Where was the sense of urgency? I didn't see any. And I take sense of urgency very seriously. I could say this was almost like a house show tonight. This wasn't a live Monday Night Raw. This was a friggin' house show, for goodness sakes. I cannot tell you how thoroughly disappointed I am in my show here tonight. Next week. Don't do this to me again next week, children. I'm not happy. Not in a good mood. I'm usually in a jovial, excited mood on this show. The last few weeks, that's what I was in. Not tonight. 2 to 3 out of 10. Done. Finished. You better bring it next week, because if you don't, look out. All I'm saying, 97 Bret Hart's coming out. You don't want me in that mood. And that just
yeah, no, this was a bad night. If you're a WWE, if you're a Raw fan, you have every right to be frustrated with the company. You got every right to be frustrated with everybody, the showrunners, the producers, the everybody who makes the job who's supposed to make the job as interesting or as awesome as it's supposed to be, and they blew it big time. So yeah, no doubt about it, this was not a good thing. This was a little embarrassing if you're a Raw fan, and I feel bad for you guys, because like you said, it's the penultimate show. It's before WrestleMania, 2 weeks before the biggest event of the year, and this is what happens. And normally, and I'll openly admit it, I'm normally one of the biggest guys in WWE. I'm the biggest fan of wrestling, period. And you guys just literally junked the bed tonight. I'm going to say it. To me, 2.5. I'm going to go right between Florio, go right between the eyes. And yeah, you guys got to do better. What happened tonight was embarrassing. What happened tonight was bad, horrible, downright despicable, mediocre. And the thing is that chimpanzee type joke that we always talk about for the WWE. There was a joke we were making in the 20 today, and I don't know, some guy was talking about monkeying around and something like that. I was like, oh, then you must have met the WWE writers, huh? The guy starts cracking up dead laughter. Maybe I was foreshadowing tonight's Monday Night Raw. I don't know. I didn't think I was, but I guess I was foreshadowing the demise of Monday Night Raw. Now I'm a little concerned, because if they packed it in on Raw, God, I hope they don't do that to SmackDown tomorrow, because SmackDown Live was so freaking red hot for the last especially after Daniel Bryan's return and how great we did last week. But I don't know. I don't know what to think, So, like you said, hopefully they don't. Hopefully that's just Raw just had a bad night, and we can bank off it and score big time. I don't know. 2.5 out of 10 for me. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Florio gave it 2 to 3 out of 10. Fletcher gave it 2.5. I'm going way lower. I'm going way lower to the point, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. A 0 out of 10. No rating for me. I mean, I am thoroughly disappointed. I am thoroughly pissed off at the way this show was tonight. I mean, This is your penultimate show leading up to next week's Go Home show, and you give us this bleeping garbage tonight? No, I am pissed off, and this show to me doesn't even deserve a damn rating. I hope everybody else doesn't give this show a damn rating in the IWC. I'm done. I'm freaking done with this. You better have a good go home show next week, or I'm gonna be more pissed off. And Florio, if that's the case, put that NC-17 rating up.
We'll put the age restriction on if we have to.
Put that age restriction off, because I'm gonna go up big time. We're gonna need that age restriction. I'm done. I'm freaking done. No rating. D. Woodson, just go. Take it. I'm so freaking done with this freaking nonsense.
Crystal clear. There's only one thing.
Okay, I'm trying to get my camera to turn around real quick, if I can. Okay. All right. This is a tweet that came out a little over an hour ago, almost an hour and a half ago, by Matt Hardy. His directory of deletion. Number 1, delete all competitors and win the basically the Battle Royal. Then to delete the Intercontinental title holder and get a hold of that title. Then he wants to go after the multiverse, as he's calling it, and proclaim it. So that may answer your question as to who may possibly be the next one to go after the Intercontinental title, since you all were questioning that earlier. But anyway, as far as tonight's Raw, I came back at a very bad week. I mean, I should have been here last week, from what I'm understanding, instead of coming back this week, because this sucked. I mean, I halfway agree with Bullock's rating, but I halfway kind of agree with the other guys' ratings, because there was a few matches and a few segments that were at least halfway relevant, although the show itself sucked. I mean, it's pretty bad when your promos and your segments are better than your matches, and in my opinion, almost every single match sucked. So I'm not gonna go as low as a dud or anything, but I'll at least give it 1 star for the matches that were relevant. But that's about it. I mean, it really totally just sucked. I mean, there's just nothing else to say about it. Yeah, I hope tomorrow's show is better than this. I hope that SmackDown can actually pull something off to salvage this week before the go-home shows. And, I pray to God that the go-home shows are good, because if they have another show like this, I don't think anybody's going to want to watch WrestleMania, because this totally it's a downer. I mean, it doesn't make you want to fork the money for the pay-per-views or for the channel. I mean, especially for the pay-per-views, because those pay-per-views are expensive if you try to buy them through your cable provider or through your satellite providers. But if you buy it, of course, the network, you're only spending $10 a month. But still, I mean, who wants to fork over $10 a month for a show, or $50 or $60 or whatever they're going to charge for WrestleMania, when you have crap like this leading up to it that makes you not even want to watch the product? I'm sorry, WWE. You need to get your writers' heads out of their butts and put those monkeys back in their cages, and let's get back to work. I mean, I'm going to be showing a little bit of my age here. If anybody remembers that TV show Happy Days, they had one episode called the Jump the Shark episode, where Fonzie did that major jump with his motorcycle. WWE, you just did your jump the shark on Raw. This was your jump the shark. So I'm sorry. You guys just really suck tonight. So not much more I have to say about it. See you all tomorrow night. Bye.
All right, Edie. We'll see you tomorrow night.
And Florio, I'm going to make one more thing crystal clear. Crystal clear. If any of these shows, any of these go-home shows next week suck, then I ain't watching WrestleMania. I'm not going to waste one damn minute of my time watching crap like if we do get bad shows next week.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So let's just move on to my Tony's Take. We have 205 Live. And I'll tell you, this was much better than what we had tonight. We had Hideo Itami squaring off against Lince Dorado. Hideo Itami wins it by disqualification in 6 minutes and 14 seconds. 2.5-star match. Perfectly solid match designed to keep the feud between the two teams going. I mean, Akira Tozawa and Hideo Itami against the Luchas. I mean, that should be interesting. So we'll see what happens there. TJP in a squash match over some dude named Kenneth Johnson, who was in the CWC, although he was not good at all. 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Worst fight of the night. No rating to a dud. Fine showcase for TJP. Unfortunately, Johnson is still not good. And then the other semifinal match of the Cruiserweight tournament. Mustafa Ali, Drew Gulak, the winner to meet Cedric Alexander for the Cruiserweight Championship at WrestleMania. Winner of the match in 15 minutes and 10 seconds. And moving on to the final against Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali with the 054. Fight of the night, 3 3/4 stars. Very, very good match. With the crazed Mr. Bob Backlund like Drew Gulak proving to be an excellent heel foil for the Never Say Die babyface Ali. They have done an excellent job of making Ali a babyface the crowd can get behind. But they're also showing that he will not only continue to fight, but will also change tone and become a bit ruthless in order to get to his goal. They have done an excellent job of building him up, and him and Cedric in the final is, without a doubt, the right call, in my opinion, without question. This was a 6.5 out of 10. While not as great as some of the past weeks, last week's 205 Live was a really solid show with a very strong main event and some setup for next week. The show continues to be a ton of fun since the reboot and a breeze to watch. So that's all I can give you on that. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night. And then we have Impact Wrestling, and this was a jump the shark here as well. We had an opening, we had an in-ring segment with Alberto El Patron. It was announced that on April 22nd, there is actually going to be an Impact Wrestling pay-per-view event on pay-per-view called Redemption, and Alberto El Patron is going to challenge Austin Aries for the World Heavyweight Championship. It was a fine promo hyping the main event, but didn't exactly break any new ground. Trevor Lee against Falaba. Trevor Lee wins it in 5.5 minutes. 2 stars, okay match with Lee winning via heel shenanigans to get some momentum back. Then we had the X Division champion Matt Sydal against Rohit Raju. Matt Sydal wins the match in 11.5 minutes. This was the fight of the night for me. 2 3/4 stars, pretty good match with Raju getting to look competitive, which is good for him, but not for Sydal. Unfortunately, the match had no real sense of urgency and the crowd was largely dead. The main issue is that you do the big reveal last week with Josh Matthews and then have Sydal working too evenly with a guy who is basically a jobber right now. 1 week later, there's nothing special with Sydal, just a wacky mask and Matthews pacing around ringside. Ali in her first knockout title defense against former champion Sienna. Winner and still knockouts champion is Ali in about 4 minutes. Another 2 3/4 stars. It was a good and dominating win for Ali, or I should say for Ali, rather. I'm sorry, I got Mustafa Ali on my mind for some odd reason. I don't know why. Overcoming her former nemesis and standing tall. Unfortunately for Ali, a new challenger has arrived in Su Yung. Yeah, Su Yung. Overall, the match and post-match was a good segment. So that's really all I can say on that. So let me see here. Then the main event was the Monsters Ball match, Abyss against Congo Kong. Congo Kong wins it in 12 minutes and 20 seconds. 1.5 stars. It was really rough, and it appeared that Abyss is still really banged up and had issues getting through it as he was very slow. But while he was slow and this was far from great, he took all the bumps he needed to in order to put over Kong as the new monster. So they accomplished the goal here. Abyss is honestly better off working in his backstage capacity these days, as he's gone through a lot for the company during his career. And then we had the Feast or Fire reveal, briefcase reveal. Eli Drake has the World Tag Team title shot. Petey Williams is the got the X Division title shot. Moose gets the World Heavyweight title shot. And Ethan Carter III, fired. He's gone. Well, we already know how that worked out. And then Cage showed up, and then Cage just absolutely went off, and he beats down Jeremy Borash, and wow. So this was a 5 out of 10. It was one of the weaker episodes in some time. It wasn't particularly bad, but the only really interesting things to me were Su Young's debut and EC3's Last Stand. They've done much better, and we'll have to see if the Feast or Fire cases lead to them building pay-per-view matches over the next few weeks. So that's all I can say. 5 out of 10 on that. Impact Wrestling spoilers, or what to expect for this week. Austin Aries and Alberto El Patron have a contract signing. We had a fatal four-way match. Petey Williams, Rohit Raju, Taiji Ishimori, and Suicide, a rare Suicide appearance. Su Yung will make her in-ring debut. She's going to go up against Amber Nova. Cage goes up against Bobby Lashley. And a very interesting main event here. A title for title match. World Heavyweight Championship versus Grand Championship. Austin Aries and Matt Sydal. Whoa. That's something you might want to tune into, folks, on Thursday night. So that's all I can say on that. So that's Thursday night at 8 on Pop Television. So that is going to, at this time, put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. And I just received a message from Dee Woodson, and she says the only part of Raw that Callie Page or Cat watched was when Page was on. Tiger slept through it. Okay. That pretty much sums up this night in a nutshell. So yes, Ridiculously Raw in the books for this week, and not a moment too soon. Hopefully next week will be tenfold better. So one more order of business before you wrap up. We're gonna bring MF in to set the table for tomorrow night's edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. So MF, tomorrow night, what's on the table?
Oh, Fletcher, you there?
I'm sorry. I was a little preoccupied. Well, I do want to say that, okay, guys, we might have to postpone this. Either if you're willing to do this tomorrow night at 11 p.m., I'm willing to do it, which is going to have to do SmackDown Live only. I was gonna do something with with New Japan, Disney Evolve show, so I might do something really quick, rapid fire. However, I gotta work till 10:30, so if we can do 10:45 or 11, then
11 sounds
that's
fine
okay.
with me.
All right, so we'll do it. 11 o'clock tomorrow night is the Cerebral Smack Talk, SmackDown Live, and we'll also. And I'll do a brief rapid fire recap of New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Style Evolve that went down on Saturday night, Long Beach, California. So until then, have a good night, everybody. Anthony, take it home.
All right, we'll do. Just want to check. Yep, we do have a docket for Strictly Sports. All right, just give me a minute here. We do have a docket. Just want to. Okay. Jason Pierre-Paul traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Ndamukong Suh signing with the Los Angeles Rams. Will the AAF League succeed? Ty Lue, Tyronn Lue taking a leave of absence. Kyrie Irving out for the rest of the regular season. Stephen Curry out with an MCL injury. Dan Hurley, the new head coach of UConn. And in our double main event, we're going to preview the Final Four. Loyola Chicago versus Michigan, and Kansas versus Villanova. And we just did an NBA power rankings. I think you meant to put NHL power rankings. That's all I can say because we just did the NBA last week. So pretty sure it's NHL this time around. So that's on Friday night. And then, of course, next week, go home shows. Hopefully both of them, especially Raw, will be good. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, it's your ridiculously over good brother Anthony Florio here. For good old MF Michael Fletcher, for the phenom Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Didi Woodson and Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Tuesday. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 and YouTube.com. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, I think Florio, so long.